Hi, I'm Renee Walker, a mindset mentor, speaker, and lover of all things spiritual. I believe that at our core, we are all spiritually wired for love, peace, success, and abundance. Here on the podcast, we're diving into mindset, wellness, and business, but always through a spiritual lens. Let's just say we're going deep, but we're keeping it light. So let's elevate your life from the inside out, one conversation at a time. Welcome to Spiritually Wired. Welcome back to the Spiritually Wired podcast. Today, our guest is Jillian Murphy. And I'm looking forward to this conversation because Jillian is a sales and business mentor, and she has mastered the art of sales and scaling your business. So welcome to the podcast, Jillian.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I think our episode actually airs tomorrow on my show, so I'm super excited. And I had such a beautiful conversation with you, so I'm glad to pour into your audience today as well.
I love it. And you know, one of the reasons why I felt like I really wanted to have you on the podcast was that, so in my world, Jillian, I meet like the most incredible women that are gifted, that are truly in business for this, inner calling, if you will, right? Of wanting to be of service, of wanting to help other people. Yet what holds them back the most is putting themselves out there. It's the sales piece that for some reason, so many of us feel very uncomfortable with. And yet you have managed to master. So maybe we start with why? Like, what is it about sales? Like, how did you become so comfortable with sales?
Yeah, so I'll give you just a quick little backstory. So I was in corporate sales for 25 years, and I was in a male-dominant industry. I was the only female in our organization since 1963. And not only did I sell food service distribution products, but I sold to restaurateurs and then places like Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Target. So I was in a male-only dominant area. And what I saw was everything that I actually disliked. I hated how they sold. I hated how they were like commission breath. I hated how they never really asked questions. So from a very young age, I started in sales at 22 years old. I was like, I'm going to do this differently. And I'm going to take what's called like a relationship-based approach or more of this like connection-based approach and really do things differently. And I got a lot of flack for it, especially being this young girl coming into corporate. There was already a way of doing things. And I was like, no, this like also is like not how I'm going to do things. So I saw a really big gap in the way women, I think, were selling and women were being taught to sell. And once I started to have success, I was like, this actually works. Fast forward 20 some years into my career, I then managed the entire sales force of 217 men. I was looking over multiple industries, multiple places. And what happened was they saw that there was this different way of selling. So I think for me, that's really where it came, was like, I saw how I didn't want to sell. I saw how I didn't want to be perceived. And then I basically just like went and created this. And this is now how I teach business owners. It's how I teach both men and women because I actually work with both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the contrast piece, right? Yeah. Knowing what you don't want helps you to define what you do want and how you do want to show up. So I love that. And you mentioned the word relationship. So how much of the sales process from your perspective comes down to the relationship piece?
I'm going to go high here and I'm going to say 99% of it comes down to relationships, especially now when we're in like this AI sludge and, everyone is a robot. Like I think more than ever, relationships matter. But relationships do a couple of different things. Number one, it helps you connect to other people. It helps you build relationships with that person. And it also helps for retention and referral. So there's so much that's based around relationships. One of my good friends, Jeff Fenster, I'm not sure if you know him, but he has the fastest growing franchise right now in America called Everbowl. And he built his entire business on what's called relationship capital, which means he started to really get to know people. And then from there, he built these like relationship banks. And he has this line that he taught me that I really love. And it's like every relationship is like an ATM. And I don't want this to like come out wrong. So let me explain what this means. But like you have to make deposits over and over and over before you can ever make a withdrawal. And I think so many people, when it comes to sales, is they're so looking quickly to like make the withdrawal, but it's like you haven't actually deposited anything yet. Let's use you and I for an example. I had you on my podcast first. I put your business up. I shared about you. Then in return, I was like, hey, I'd love to serve your audience. Where so many people do it backwards, and it's like, what can I get out of this? How can this person promote me? But if you just give, I promise you, it'll all come back 10, 20, 100 fold.
Okay, so we are only a few minutes in, and I just had the biggest aha.
I love it.
I'm really excited.
I love a good aha.
No, but what I love about this is that women are great at relationships. Like when I think of those women that I was speaking of, they are just so good at relationships. So that is such a powerful reframe. Instead of thinking about it as sales or as promoting yourself, even that reframe of looking at that piece of your business as it's your relationships, right? That you're building and giving. And that comes so easily for women if you know that that's what it's about. Again, it's almost like the sales word and the energy, and we have this immediate resistance to it because it doesn't feel aligned. But when you speak about it from a relationship perspective, all of a sudden my heart opened. I was like, okay, I'm in, I get it.
Let me give you a really great example of this. So I did an Instagram story yesterday, and I've been dealing with some brain fog the last couple of weeks. So I went on my Instagram stories and I was like, hey, for all of my girlies that are here, what do you guys recommend for brain fog? My DMs were on fire. Oh my God, do this. This is the best product ever. I can't live without this. And I sent so many messages back to these women that were like, you are also the same person that cannot share your own offer. You are afraid to get on your stories and talk about this, but it's so easy for you when you know that someone needs something to share someone else. So what if you just did the same thing? Like Jillian Murphy needs help in sales. Renee needs this with this. And then you had that same energy that you're so excited to talk about, because a lot of these women were actually like in people in my world. And I was like, I've never seen you this excited about anything as you are about like honey packets. So can we get on board with your own offer as you are about selling somebody else's thing off of Amazon?
That is so true. That's exactly what it's like, especially with women. We will like, you need this.
Oh yeah.
If we don't know what it is, we'll research it. And we'll make sure.
Paragraphs. The women were like, where are you at in your cycle? What day are you on? Have you upped your medicine? And I'm like, if you guys just had the same energy, you guys would all be making bajillions of dollars.
Oh my goodness, that is so true. And I'm sure is landing with so many people who are listening to this episode right now. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what would you say then is the biggest block? Like, what is it that holds people back?
Yeah, I think the biggest block when it comes to sales, honestly, especially for women, is we are innately just people pleasers. We don't necessarily love conflict. We don't like to be argumentative. We like to keep a peaceful marriage, a peaceful home, peaceful friendship. So I think there's a lot of just like blocks that come around with that. And I think that's a big part. I think the second thing is most women have been sold to in a way that didn't feel good. Whether it was going into a handbag store, whether it was going into a car dealership, whether it was, someone that they were trying to get a quote from, like, so they feel that that's how everyone sells. But again, if you kind of look at the gap, it's like, how do you not want to do it? How do you not want that same energy to be? So then how can you do it backwards? So I think those are some of the biggest things. And then I think just, again, I don't think women, and this is maybe a podcast episode, like even for you to talk on, but like energetically, they're not sold yet on what they do. They're like not bought in. So when you're so bought in, other people feel it. That woman was bought in on those honey packets yesterday on my DMs, right? The other girl was bought in on my ovulation cycle, but they weren't bought in on their own offers yet. So when you are bought in and you embody what you do, then you just naturally talk about your thing and you're excited to talk about it. I'm sure you know this, Renee. You see people online and you're like, how come everything they put out just comes to gold? No matter what they put out, it just sells. I'm actually really grateful because I feel like this is a little bit of even how I sell. Like no matter what I put out, it sells. but it's not because I have this like sales strategy. It's not because I like had this A plus B equals C. It's because I'm so embodied in what I'm selling, that I'm so in love with it, that I'm excited to share it from the rooftops, and people can feel that energy and they're excited to buy. So if you're not excited to sell, no one's going to be excited to buy.
It's so true. Yeah. So it really is about falling in love with what you are offering, the service that you are offering. And sometimes I feel that, and it's making me think even, as we're having this conversation, because you can fully believe in what it is that you're offering and the power, but maybe there's a disconnect with it being you. So, there's still those self-worth issues that you need to work through. And so really making it or bringing yourself into a place of knowing that it is your presence, your energy that is the offer, right? It's who you are that changes everything.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately and fortunately, however way you look at it, we're inundated every single day on social media. So one of the very first things that I ask my clients is like, why did you create this offer? Is it because Renee had it? Are you hosting an event because Christina had it? Are you doing a low ticket membership because Jillian has it? Or are you so in love with this? Why do you have this money goal? Do you want to hit $100,000 because you think that you're supposed to because everybody else online is doing it? And when you can get really clear of like why it's important to you and the mission behind it, and almost like shut off the blinders from everybody else, that also is where it's at, because you have to be so bought in. I work with so many women that come to me and they're like, oh, I want to make $1 million a year. I'm like, okay, tell me why. Well, I don't know, like, it's just kind of like what you do online. It's like, but do you really want to make $1 million? Do you want to run $1 million business? Is that really what it looks like? So I think for so many people, we're not even clear because we're just inundated with noise at all times.
It's so true. And it is very noisy right now. That's for sure.
Noisier than ever.
Yeah, and it's so easy to get caught up in the comparison piece and all of the different things that just don't make us feel good about ourselves, really, at the end of the day. So when it comes to the sales piece, which is what I'm really hearing from you as well, is you want to make sure that you are in a place where you're feeling good about yourself, you're feeling good about the offer, so that even just energetically as you're showing up, there is a magnetism there, right? That is present.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that, there is a lot of noise in the online space. And I use this rule of thumb when I'm following somebody. Am I activated by this person or am I triggered by this person? So if I'm following Renee and I'm activated by what she's doing and I'm lit up and I'm excited and I'm like, she's a thought leader and she's an expert, that means when I consume her content, I'm activated. Okay. If I follow, let's say, Christina, and I'm like, man, what's wrong with me? I've never hosted an event. I can't sell out an event. Maybe I should be doing podcasting like this. Now that actually is dimming my light. And I encourage you to really do a clean sweep of who you're following and make sure you are following people that are activating you and expanding you. And it's okay to shut other people off. You guys, some of my best friends, I do not follow on social media. I don't even follow my own mentor on social media because I don't want to be like comparing myself to her and what she's doing. So it's okay to take a break from all the noise sometimes.
Oh, wow. That's a great great permission. And I think such an important, like that discerning piece, right? I love the way you say the two, because I also have this relationship with the word activated, being activated versus being triggered. And it's very important to differentiate the two. And it's not because someone triggers you that they're doing anything bad or that you don't want good for them in any way. You're just recognizing that it's not energetically bringing you anything. It's not helping to increase the way in which you're feeling. So permission to unfollow. Yeah.
And you can also get so sidetracked by someone who is like, even if they are activating you or triggering you, it's like, so quickly you could be like, oh, maybe I should do this, or maybe I should do this. And then you're stepping away from the thing that you are meant to do and be totally embodied in doing. So yeah, that's my permission slip for all of you guys today on this podcast.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's just kind of going back to maybe the blocks, like some of the fears that tend to show up a lot when it comes to sales, or like fear of being rejected, fear of being seen, fear of being judged. I'd say those are like the three big ones. Do you have any tools or any tips on when you're recognizing, so practicing that discernment and you're feeling, okay, at the end of the day, you know, when you put out any offers from a sales perspective, you have to be willing to receive no's. Like that's the piece. Rejection, depending on how you take it, is going to be a part of it. So how do you support people with that?
Yeah. So there's a couple different things that I do. Number one, I used to teach this when I was in corporate. I want you to get 100 no's as quick as possible. Like, let's try to go get them. So like when I was in corporate, I'd be like, let's go door knock for the next 10 days, 10 doors and get, 100 no's, because you also get it in reps, right? When you start to get it and you start to realize that it really is nothing about you, you start to build up a little bit of an armor. So first and foremost, when you're listening to this podcast right now, know that every no literally has nothing to do with you. One of the shifts that I say to myself is when somebody says no to me, this is what they're saying no to. They don't want to make more money. They don't want to learn how to sell with ease. They don't want to scale their business. They don't want to make more money this year. So that is not a me problem. That is actually something that they need to work out. So I absolutely always just remind myself of like, they are saying no to themselves. They are not saying no to me. Also, knowing that people are going to say yes when they are ready, not when you have something to sell. So there's a lot of people that come into my world. I just signed a brand new one-on-one client yesterday. She's been in my world for 2.5 years. Just because I wanted to sell her a year ago, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, that wasn't when she was ready. So remembering that a no is just another time, and make sure you're following up. Keep building that relationship. Don't be like a transactional salesperson where you just reach out when you need something, right? Continue to support them. And then the last thing that I do is I actually have this thing called the list of 100. I've talked about this on billions of podcasts. And what I would love for you guys to do is really create a list of 100 reasons why you're the GOAT or you're the best at what you do. And this is not something that's going to happen easily. It's not like you're just going to sit down and you're going to write 100 things out, because you're going to get stuck. You're usually going to get stuck around 30. You're going to have to dig in really deep. Then you're going to have this flow of ideas that are going to come out again. You're going to get stuck around like 60 or 70. And I will tell you, those reasons between 70 and 100, those are the real reasons. Those are the ones that you had to dig deep for, you had to sit with. And every single time someone tells me no, I go back to my list of 100 and I'm like, I know I'm the expert. I know I'm the person that deserves this income or this life or this ability or whatever those things are. So I think that that is really, really important. And then the last thing is very simple, but just how I call it, and this is so cheesy, but it's like a smile file. And this is everything that anyone has ever sent you that you've done good for them. And just keep it, whether it's on your phone, on Instagram, your notes app, wherever. And when you get these no's, just go back to the people that you have served and you have absolutely helped. And it'll make you just feel so good.
I love that. It's a great redirection, right, of your energy, and then focusing. I mean, because that's what we have. We have choice as to what we're going to focus on. And so much of the taking things personally, I mean, that's for everything in life. It's so easy to do, so easy to create a story. Even, the no now becomes, they have these thoughts about me, they're judging me, this, that. Like, it's so easy to create stories about the no. So really learning to be with it's neutral. It's a no.
In creating the story, even around money, this is another reframe I'd love to give you guys, because I think that so many of us make our money story everybody else's money story. Right? So like maybe you can't afford to purchase something right now, or you wouldn't invest in something. So you're making it like everyone's story. One of the biggest reframes that I started doing this years ago, and it's made the biggest difference. So find someone who you love. So I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. I've been a Swiftie for like almost multiple decades. And this is what I tell myself every single time I'm in the DMs with someone, because I close in the DMs or on sales calls. Everybody has Taylor Swift's money. Everyone. Everyone is operating with that. So maybe you're like, everyone has Oprah's wallet, or everybody has Jennifer Lopez's wallet, because you are so often creating a story in your head about somebody else's income that you don't know. And when you
Mhm.
are going at someone with, like, let's say a Taylor Swift bank account or an Oprah Winfrey bank account, you're like, I'm just here to serve, and they're going to see the goodness in which I can do for them. So it's been a really big reshape for me as well.
Oh, I love that. And if it's a fit, it's a fit, and if it's
Yeah,
not, it's not, right? Like
that's okay.
that's the piece. That's the
Mhm.
piece of it that you get to. I mean, I'm big into just sending some loving energy, and if we're meant to work together, whether it's now or it's a year from now or 2 years from now, as you said, then it'll come together.
Yeah, I think a lot of people
Mhm.
in the online space, I talk about this a lot. I think they have entitlement energy too, which
Mm.
they just think that, like, people should buy from them. It's like, well,
Mhm.
why should people buy from you? And I think so often we get into this, like, well, I launched this before and I sold it out. Why isn't it selling this time? I made $1 million last year. Why aren't I doing it this time? And it's like, you really have to check that ego at the door, and every day is a brand new day.
Oh, it's beautiful. So, what would you say? Because one of just coming back to the word relationship, I think ultimately the issue is our relationship to sales.
Yeah.
So, what can we do, or for someone who's listening, they're like, okay, I hear you, Jillian, I'm feeling it. Yes, I'm going to take that deep breath. I'm going to show up.
Yeah.
How can you help them reframe or rework that relationship that they have with sales?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would remind people is that you are a solution provider. Like,
Mm.
people buy every day, they buy solutions to things. Look right now on your desk. Most of the things you have on your desk that you bought is a solution to something. I bought a ring light for better lighting. I have a coffee for some caffeine, right? I have a mic to sound better on a podcast. Everything that people buy is because they need a solution to some sort of problem that they're in. So if you remove the word sales, like, I don't care if you guys ever say the word sales again, but you're like, I am here to solve my ideal clients' problems on repeat. And I have a store available for them to come in and buy the solutions for the problems in which they have. So I don't say every day, like, hey, I'm going to go out and sell something. I say, hey, every day I'm going to solve somebody's problem in my audience who doesn't love sales, who isn't making consistent sales, whose content isn't doing the closing for them. So it's like, I have all of these solutions in my AKA store, and I just need the right people coming through my door that have that problem.
Mhm. Beautiful. So it is really coming back to the fact that we may have resistance with sales, yet you're reframing it as relationships,
Mhm.
which women are great at,
We're great at
and
it.
helping other people support, which women are great at doing as well. So when you reframe it and you just remove that word, and then you come at it where I'm great at building relationships, and you focus on the relationship building, and then the support, how you can help them and support them with your service, then that kind of makes things so different. Like, you can
Yeah.
just feel the lightness,
Mhm.
instead of
And I
like that
actually,
heavy.
yeah. And I actually feel like it's a disservice not to help somebody,
Yeah.
especially as a woman. Like, we want to help some people. If I met Renee out in the world and she was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I'm really struggling with sales," it is literally my own ego that's getting in the way to be like, "Oh, I don't want to, like, say something to her. Like, maybe that's weird." If someone has a problem and you have the solution, why would you not offer it up? I use the example of water. If somebody comes in from a run and they're
Mhm.
thirsty, it is literally a disservice for me not to be like, would you like water? I have cold water, I have sparkling water, I have Gatorade. Like, all you're doing is providing a solution. And I think women as well, I think so often we want to, like, give our services away for free, or we want to, like, give discounts, or we want to, like, barter and trade. You guys, that's not an energetic match for anybody. So
Yeah.
owning again what you do, how you can support them, and reminding you that you are solving a couple things. You're solving either time, you're helping them get there quicker, you're helping them with a relationship. Now they're going to be closer to you in a relationship, or you're helping them with expertise. So you're basically solving three things that you do for these people when it comes to sales. And again, don't even use the word sales anymore if you don't want. Say you're a problem solver.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So good. Um, what role does like the messaging play in all of it? Because I know that that is also a topic that you are passionate about. So can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about
Yeah.
why it's so important that we become clear on our messaging?
Yeah, I want you to think about what, driving down the street in your car, and you see Pizza Hut, you know it's pizza. You see Bob's Karate, you know it's karate, right? You see Bass Pro, you know it's a fishing store. So I want you to take this lesson when it comes to the online space. People should be able to drive past, AKA walk past your Instagram and know exactly what you do. Your pizza, your karate, you're a fishing store. And I don't know what happened, but we like almost turn into these like different people online where we just use so many words that just don't matter. And that is the thing that is going to stop you so often. Now, I could talk about messaging forever. It's probably my favorite thing to talk about, even more than sales, because I believe without messaging, sales will never happen. And I know that's a strong thing, but I truly believe without messaging, sales will never happen. You can have the best product, but if people don't know what it is, how they buy from you, what you solve, how to find it, you're literally just going to be sitting there on these widgets. So first and foremost is it needs to be so clear and so concise to the micro specific problems that your ideal client has today. And I know we've heard this a million times, like, what is your ideal client saying? How are your ideal clients saying these things? It is so imperative that you do this work every day. So I have a notes app on my phone. Every day, at the end of my day, I say to myself, what did my clients ask me? I transcribe my coaching calls. I go through a podcast. What did Renee ask me on this podcast? This then becomes my content because those are the ways in which my clients are asking these questions. The way I ask sales questions to my mentor is very different than how Susie is asking sales questions to me. So number one is you have to be so micro specific. And your brain operates two different ways. There's logical and then there's emotional, right? So your content also needs to hit on both things, which I think is so important. And who you are is what is going to drive people to you. We talked earlier about relationships. People buy from people. So I want someone to come to my page and be like, yes, Jillian Murphy is for me. Or I want to repel them like a horror movie where they're like, she is absolutely not for me. And that's okay. And that's where messaging gets out of this like vanilla area that is in there. So yeah, I mean, we can definitely dive down the rabbit hole of messaging as much as you want.
I think that it's so important. And in the spiritual space, in the, personal development space, it can feel a little more challenging because it's not there's not like a tangible output or product at the end of the day. So it really is, I think the learning the words though, and I think that that's such a great, or not learning, but the tuning into the words that people are using. I think that's such a great tip for people because we can sometimes also get caught up, as you said, what you're asking your mentor is different but you're not coaching necessarily yourself. You're coaching who you were before, especially in our space, right? In the space that I'm in. So it's using the words that you connected with then, not necessarily the words that you're connecting with today.
Yeah. And it's like, ask yourself, how is your ideal client looking this up? How are they Googling it? But let's go back to the brain fog thing, right? If I was to get on Instagram today and somebody said, these are 5 tips to overcome brain fog, I would miss that. But you know how I Googled it? Why do I wake up and feel like I'm in a cloud? So if somebody was to be on their Instagram stories and say, do you wake up every morning and you just feel like you're in this cloud and you're not really sure why? That's going to get me to lean in. Even though it is the brain fog, that's not how your ideal client is explaining it. You know, especially like in the spiritual world and in the personal development world, we get a lot of like how to regulate your nervous system, you know, how to live an aligned life, how to manifest your dream partner, but being more micro specific because they don't know that that's actually the thing. I have a brand new one-on-one client and she helps people regulate their helps moms regulate their nervous system. And she's been putting out content for a year. Crickets. Nothing is happening. And I said, what would it mean to that mom? What is happening to that mom at 3:00? And she's like, my mom wants to quit losing her shit at 3:00 as soon as those kids come home and the backpacks get dropped at the back door. Okay, that's what she's saying. If you want to quit losing your shit on your kids as soon as they drop their backpacks at the back door, this is what I do. Not, let me help you regulate your nervous system and help you live a line that feels at peace. That doesn't even feel passionate. Like it doesn't even feel possible to her right now. So again, if
Right.
you can be so micro specific, and I also love if you can walk through an ideal client's day, right? So let's take this mom. If you think about this mom who has a dysregulated nervous system, what is happening from the moment she wakes up? What is happening in the morning when she's trying to get ready? What is happening on the way to school? What is happening at dinner time? Like, what are these things? And if you can do like a day in the life of and get really clear of what's happening to her in these like micro specific moments, that's also a really good way to like pull in people on what your ideal client is saying.
So good. And such a great, also, again, when you stay with the intention that you are here to serve, that you are here to be of service, to help, to support other people, and you can let go of the ickiness that comes with the word sales or any resistance, and you look at it from that perspective, all of these tools, and you've given us so many tips. I've taken so many notes today.
I love that.
But all of that it helps us serve, right? Because you can have the best of intentions, but if you don't have people to help, then you're not able to fulfill what deep down is your purpose. And that's the thing. I mean, in order to live our purpose, depending on what it is, but if you're listening to this podcast, chances are there is something that you want to put out there. Either you have already, or you're just waiting for that right moment, or waiting for the sign that will tell you that I can do this. And the willingness to kind of do things imperfectly and to show up, and the being curious is something that is also staying with me, like permission to be curious, to really look at the people that you're serving, at what it is that they actually like, what are the words that they're using, but how do they spend their day, and how can you support them? That is so good.
Yeah, I'll tell you a real quick story. I just launched an offer last week, and I had no intention of like launching this offer. I had no intentions of putting out anything new in 2026, but I kept hearing my audience say the same thing over and over and over. So the reason I'm telling you this is a lot of times we're creating things that we want to create. We're creating things that we think are a really good thing. But like, if you really stop and listen, like what is something that's happening, whether it's in your space, in your industry, in your market, a complaint that people have. And then it's like, how can I go and solve this? So for me, one of the things that I kept hearing on repeat was I was going to events and I couldn't pitch from the stage. I am in networking calls, but I couldn't drop my Instagram handle. I'm in masterminds, but I couldn't grow my list on it. And I thought to myself, what if there was a place where everyone could come together and you could share your freebies, you could share your offers, you could share your ticket sales, you could literally share whatever you want. And basically you build your business off of my community. So I created it. And it was so easy to sell. I had 53 people in 10 days join, not because of a sales strategy, not because I created the world's best thing, but because I listened to my audience exactly what they were saying, that I went and I crafted it on my Instagram stories, grabbed my phone, just started talking, hey, this is what I'm going to create. And then people raised their hand and bought. So reminding yourself of like, if you just also stop and ask your client, like, what do you need right now? What would be helpful? How do you like to be supported? How do you like to be coached? How do you like to learn? Where do you want to do your next retreat at? Your audience will give you exactly what they want.
Yeah, it's so true. So true. We do get caught up, I think, sometimes when we say like we're our worst enemies, because we just get caught up in the way in which we're doing things. And it's so easy to do that. And then, so it really also requires a staying open, curious, as we said, but that willingness to change things. Like we get attached to the services or the products that we have, probably in sometimes it kind of holds us back, right? Because we're too attached to the offer itself.
Yeah, we're too attached. And I think that's also where we have to leave our ego at the door sometimes. It's like, has this offer gone through? Is it expired? Are we done? Should we try something else? Are you still excited? Like you're going to evolve. You're going to evolve. So you don't have to be selling the same thing that you once were selling 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago. If you want to talk about different things, recently I've had a podcast for 4 years and it was called the Scale Your Sales Podcast. And I sat down in January and I was like, I've evolved. There's more that I want to talk about than just sales and messaging and marketing. I want to talk about being a mom, being on a health journey, dating in your 40s, GLP-1s, perimenopause. So like when you evolve, you also get to like bring your audience along. So just because you create something today doesn't mean that that has to be your forever.
Absolutely. Okay, so for people who are listening and they're like they're feeling inspired, shifting already their relationship with sales, wanting to be in your world to learn more, what is the best way for them to connect with them? But also like, what are the different, so you spoke about a new offer that you just launched. So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I am a very simple product suite girly. I've been selling the same thing for 2 years. I'm a really big component of like one offer, one thing, one focus, and just kind of going through it. So I have a signature sales program. It's called Infinity. We've taken hundreds of women and men, business owners through this. It's everything in the entire sales cycle. So it's how are you generating leads organically? What does your messaging look like? What does your offer suite look like? How are people buying from you? What are the relationships? What is the retention? I walk people through an entire sales cycle and really get them clear of what that looks like. Every business is different. It's not a course. It's not a module. I'm extremely hands-on in there. I also saw a really big gap in the market where everyone was doing things kind of cookie cutter and everyone's different. How I run a business is different how Renee runs a business. So I really get my hands in there. I don't believe anyone really needs to learn more. I think we actually have to implement and integrate. So it's more like an implementation and an integration program. It's absolutely incredible. And I just launched this new thing called the Society, which I'm excited about. My goal is to have 1,000 business owners in this. And really what it is think about like a member directory, a member portal, where you can go and be like, hey, I'm looking for podcast guests. I'm looking to get on stages. I have a new freebie. I need some help with market research. And it's just a really great place. It's super low ticket. It's $500 for the year. It's a no-brainer. And I created that. And then I work with some clients very high level in one-on-one mentorship, either in like a VIP day or like one-on-one full mentorship.
Oh, I love that. And what's your Instagram handle? How do people find you there?
It's the Jillian Murphy. Come over, say hello. I'm a content machine. We put out tons of content on our page. I always say like every day is like a little mini masterclass over there. And then I have a podcast called The Jillian Murphy Show. We drop 3 episodes a week. We talk about all things, but sales is still really the premise of it. So we have about 400 episodes banked. Go over and listen to the podcast as well. And Renee's episode's about to air as well.
I know. It was such a great, it was so much fun talking to you on the, I find it's so fun when we maybe are coming at certain topics from like a different perspective and to open up and have these conversations. And you and I have so many people in common in each other's world. So it was nice to make that connection for sure.
Yeah. It definitely was. And you guys remember that Instagram is a great place to connect. Like this is literally how I reached out to Renee. Hey, Renee, I see that we have 1,800 mutual friends. Why are we not friends yet? Let's get a podcast on the books or like a quick connection call. You guys, if you went and did that 10 times a day, 5 days a week, you would be blown away by what your referral network looked like.
Yeah, it's so true. And you talk a lot about that too, right? The importance of building your relationships in your DMs. And I think that that's something that I could get better at, maybe just from a time perspective. And it's something that's easy for most people to do. It doesn't cost any money either. And I know that one of the things we haven't talked about that I realized I was going to ask was the ads and if that is something that you believe in, that you support.
Yeah. You said ads?
Ads, yeah.
So we grew our business to $1 million without ever running ads. So I personally am not an ads girly. Also, we talked about this earlier before we hit record. I love a lean team. So I know that ads is going to spend a lot of money and maybe there's not proof of concept yet. So I personally love organic marketing. I teach organic marketing. I swear by organic marketing. You know, Renee is going to be a way better referral partner for me than me getting her on my list from a freebie from a cold traffic ad. So I spend a lot of time building organic traffic. Now, some people don't have the time. Some people have an offer that we can throw ads to. You know, some of my clients have like a prayer journal. Some of my clients sell clothing. That's a totally different ballgame. But for me personally, and it comes to the coaching and consulting space, I am an organic girly through and through, because also you get to keep more money in the bank too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like it's such this complicated whole other space. Like it's a business onto itself that either you are excited about and it speaks to you and you've got the budget to put some money into it, then great, right? It obviously works for some people, but
and you will burn money. So first and foremost, you have to have proof of concept, right? So let's use this society for an example. Where you're at 53 people and in 10 days, I now have proof of concept that people want this, that people do it. But what I see is so often people are running ads to freebies that nobody's even downloaded yet. They're running freebies to a challenge that nobody has signed up for yet. Like, you have to do so much organic work first, split test A and B, and then go from there. We ran ads one summer. We spent $37,000. I got 0 ROI, and I said, never again. At this point, never again will I do it. And my mentor is huge in ads. Like, she's an ads girly through and through. And it's just not something that I lean into. And you can also build your business in a way that feels good for you.
Yeah, and I think you just hit on something that's so key, is that it's not the solution to fix the problem. Like, you still have to test it. You still have to make sure that it's something that is going to speak to people, that the whole system works before you just throw money at it, which is easy to do, but it doesn't guarantee any results.
Yeah. And a lot of women, again, we talked about this on the podcast for the last 45 minutes. A lot of women aren't great in sales. So let's just use ads for an example. Let's say you run ads to a 20-minute coaching call, free coaching call for health and wellness. Now you have a calendar booked of people and you're terrible at selling. So now you've burnt all this money bringing all these leads in because you don't actually have a way to sell. So marketing is what brings them to you, but you have to be able to learn how to sell them as well. And so many people are running traffic, bringing them somewhere and then losing them because they don't know how to actually close the sale.
So good. I love, like, we're having a podcast after the podcast.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Podcast after the podcast. There you go.
I love it.
Well, Jillian, thank you so much. We're going to link to all of the information in the show notes. I absolutely love this conversation. As I said, I've been taking notes, feeling very inspired, because sales is one of those, it is a part of my business that I resist, that I'm learning to love. And so if you are listening right now, maybe that is it. Like, how can you learn to love what you do, but also just love the relationship piece of it and find something about it that excites you? So thank you for your time, Jillian. Thank you if you are here listening. I also want to remind you that you are always spiritually wired for love, for success, for abundance. And I will see you next week. Thank you for listening to Spiritually Wired. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow and leave a review. It really makes a big difference for the podcast. And if you're ready to dive deeper and join a soul-led community, come be a part of the Spiritually Wired membership. With weekly life lessons and a rich library of recorded classes, it's designed to support you every step of the way on your spiritual journey. We currently have a special offer where you can receive your first month for half the price. You can find a link in the show notes or come check it out at reneewalkerwellness.com. Until next time, remember to take some deep breaths. Remember that you are spiritually wired.